Hey guys, Scott here today. Hykeem Williams announced his commitment to Florida State, meeting out likes of Georgia, Alabama, some of the other big boys. And this is a big recruit for Florida State for many reasons. It shows that Florida State is starting to get back on the recruiting trail, able to get their share of big players. They've kind of struggled the last few years, but this year they started out the season 3-0, and they look really good so far. They beat LSU, the second game of the year, and I think their record on the football field and the fact that Hykeem Williams is also from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Florida State show they was able to kind of go in their own state and get a pull a recruit out of there. And Florida State they're starting to slowly build their way back. They've struggled the last few years. Everybody knows that. Last year they lost a few games they probably shouldn't have lost. I think that might have been a blessing in disguise for Mike Norvell. As I think he'll have the opposite of what happened to Mark Rick. Like when Mark Rick got to Miami, they was winning all the close games, and I think Miami had like a 10 or 11 win season that year, and it kind of got the fan base expectations up. And I think ultimately that was his demise. Anybody that really followed the school knew that Miami didn't really have the greatest team. They just kind of overachieved that year. But I think Norvell losing some of those games last year kind of got the expectations lower. So this year, if Florida State can go out and win, 9 or 10 games, the fan base is actually going to be excited because the expectations kind of got lowered. Don't get me wrong, some of those ones last year were ugly, and as a fan of Florida State, it was dark times. But I think now that the good days are ahead, Florida State's been very active in the transfer portal since Mike Norvell got there. I mean, you look at the leading tackler Tatum Bethune came from the transfer portal. Leading receiver Johnny Wilson came from the transfer portal. The dude's like 6'7", just a freak of nature. Jordan Travis, came out of Louisville from the transfer portal. He's their, leading quarterback. That's getting better and better every year. And they got Jared Verse, Micah Pittman. Florida State's been tearing it up on the transfer portal, and I think, because of that, they actually have a little bit more talent on the team than, what they might be given credit for. And I think if Florida State can keep winning, they got Boston College this week, should go to 4-0. Then got that growing part of the schedule where you play Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, right there. And then, of course, you got Miami and Florida to finish out the year. So not the easiest in the world, but there's also enough games, and if Florida State can win their share of these tough games coming up, there's certainly a 9-win season in the works. With a little bit more luck, maybe a 10-win season. If Clemson hasn't looked the best, they need to make the quarterback change, in my opinion. And if Florida State can catch them before that time, they got them in Tallahassee. They could most certainly pull that game out, or they can catch Wake Forest, who they got that good quarterback Hartman, but the rest of their team, I think Florida State can hang with. And I think NC State's gonna be a tough matchup going to NC State, and of course Miami and Miami, but Florida hasn't looked good, and they can certainly beat Florida at home. But anyway, I think this commitment to Hykeem Williams is just huge for Florida State, as it's kind of shows that they're back, and I think this is the start of turning the tide for Florida State, where there's going to be some good things to come. And thanks for watching.